I have um, I have somebody indicating they're having a hard time hearing me. That may be because there are many preachers in the audience this morning. Hard to sort out which one is talking. Um, Welcome. I'm Bob Renjilian, minister of the Unitarian Universalists of Transylvania County. Glad that you are here with us on this wonderful Father's Day. Welcome to all the fathers, those who have mentored others, raised others, and we hope that you get a brunch out of this, a phone call, a text, something to recognize the day for you. Later today, over at the Hendersonville Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, there is a Carl Sandburg performance. Our own member Eric Young is part of the Reader Theater cast. It's at 3 o'clock. If you are wanting to drive over, I believe it is free. Um, and so it's something to be interested in. Carl Sandburg had a kind of very close, do you know what an asymptote is in, in graphing and in mathematics? It comes so close almost to touch. Carl Sandburg went to Lombard College or helped at Lombard College ring the bells at the changing of classes. And it turns out the belfry was full of Universalist tracts, old Universalist tracts. So he got to know about Universalism very early on in his life. And he had his memorial service at the Asheville Unitarian Universalist congregation. But I don't think he ever signed his name. So going to the performance would be a very UU thing to do. I want to let everybody know I will be a ministerial delegate to the Unitarian Universalist General Assembly all this week. I leave this afternoon, although Southwest just told me my flight is delayed 15 minutes. I will be leaving from here at lunchtime from the membership class that's going on to get down there and stand in line and go through security and be gone for the whole week, which means I'll miss you all next week. But that means you won't be able to schedule appointments with me. I will return pastoral phone calls or emails when I get a chance in between the business schedules and everything else going on. And there are a couple of members of the Loving Hearts care team who have said that if there's a need for an actual local person to be caring, then they may be able to reach out and step in. Last week I had my barbershopper buddies singing here, and I just wanted to say we got a thank you note from the treasurer. The donations from you all, either here or online with the QR code. Doug, if you can flash that QR code up there again for everybody feels guilty they didn't donate already. We had $490 donated to the barbershoppers towards their scholarship fund, so thank you so much. He said, quite a generous bunch you have in Brevard. I agree. And they also all thanked you all for being able to come and sing to you. There's one person in particular who has been speaking to me either online or in person at rehearsal saying, I just cannot believe how wonderful your congregation is and the way they came alive with our singing. They just loved it. Thank you. July's Wonderful Wednesday, I think, is coming up the 9th, and would be the second Wednesday of the month. Madeline Dieroff, thank you for the pronunciation, Alice, will perform for us, and that is quite a special treat. For those of you who are coming for the meal, please sign up either on the counter, the list on the counter. We've got 15 people so far, or online through Realm or whatever means you find you can do. If you're just coming for the performance, you don't need to sign up, but the sign up helps our meal preparation be appropriate for everyone. I also want to note that we look at significant events as Unitarian Universalists, and that Juneteenth is coming up. I lived in Texas for a little bit. Juneteenth is when word finally got to the slaves in Texas that they had been free for quite some time. It is not only that we work towards freedom, it takes an awful lot of effort to make sure it happens. So Juneteenth. Let's all now ease into the, what was there, something, Nancy?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I'm Nancy Richards, and General Assembly is this weekend, and your delegates to General Assembly are Ian and Vanessa Cowie and me. So we'll all be in Baltimore representing you, hopefully, and your interests. And if there's things that you want to know about it, we'll tell you about it after we come back. But if there's anything you want to tell us beforehand that's a burning issue for you, please speak to me after the service.
So for those watching online, Nancy Richards was saying she and Vanessa and Ian are also delegates to the General Assembly and are glad to hear from you if you have a burning issue you want to bring forward to your delegates for this week. Appreciate that, Nancy. Now let's ease into the wonder of this service and this hour together with the music that John will provide.
Good morning. If you'd all join me, we'll read the chalice lighting in unison. It'll be on the screen. We light this chalice with an open heart. We light this chalice with resolve. We light this chalice with tears still fresh on our cheeks. We light this chalice in hope, a tiny flame we nurture. We light this chalice with reverence for this place, for these people, for this time. We light this chalice with all our souls longing to be who we are, to be who we will become, to be ourselves. We light this chalice in self-love, in giving love, in holy love. The opening hymn today is number 116. If you'll stand as you're willing and able, please join us. The words are on the screen. Oops. Now we'll light the candles of joys and sorrows.
I received a text about this week was from Alex and Mario Zapata in fond remembrance of our mother, Pamela Zapata, on her birthday. And a candle of hope and healing for Jubal Tyner, who is finally home from Mission Hospital, has a long recovery in front of him. Also a candle of hope and healing for Tara McDonald, who is 9 weeks in with the same bug as Jubal, except in Tara's case has affected her ears. We have a couple of notes, one live note here, one that had been sent in. Dick Burr said, a candle for those of the Broad Street Brevard No Kings rally. There seemed to be a sense of purpose and shared smiles and joy and camaraderie rather than hate. Who would have thought such an occasion would do so much to provide hope on Flag Day? And this one, anonymous, a gratitude for the peaceful, uplifting rally for justice yesterday. 1,000 people stood up for our American values. A candle for peace in our country, in the world. And a candle of sorrow for the Minnesota state representatives who were shot and the one and her husband who were killed in that shooting yesterday. Let's light a candle for all those things not yet shared, held in the hearts of the people here, or perhaps those who are online. And let's let the glow of these candles remind us to reach out to one another and continue to knit the fabric of community. That is how we as a congregation love and support in many different ways.
Our opening words this morning are from D. Scott Cooper. We imagine not one path, but many. We imagine a path forward for those who cannot imagine any path forward because of poor health, financial hardship, family crises, and other roadblocks we cannot begin to understand or imagine. We struggle to imagine a path forward for those who are forced to leave a homeland against their will, and for those unable to leave a war-torn homeland despite their lives being in danger. We imagine a path forward for those who leave their homes to make a better life for their families elsewhere. May we be a welcoming presence along the path toward hope. We come together to imagine a path forward for those of us despairing because we do not seem to know our country nor our neighbors, despite the fact that we've not moved at all. We may be the good we are hoping to find as we travel side by side down the path toward hope. We imagine a path forward for those who feel lonely. May we take one another's hands as we walk that path toward community. Truly, we know as we imagine these ways forward and take one another's hands, the paths will lead to hope, the roads will lead to beloved community, and the arc will bend toward justice because we have dared to travel with love in our hearts. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning.
Morning, Kevin.
My name's Kevin, and I work with the kids and youth here at UUTC, and I'm happy to say that this past week we finished up another Chalice Camp. We had 22 kids, 5 middle schoolers, and 4 high schoolers. The middle schoolers and high schoolers were the helpers and the leaders, and we had a great Hogwarts Chalice Camp. Oliver over there was one of our great students learning magic. Just had a lot of fun. I want to say a special thank you to our visiting professors who came in, including Bruce Tuxhorn, helping the kids to make biddy brooms. He's a master broom maker. Jim Hardy and Bobby King once again brought turtles and snakes and taught the kids about care of magical creatures. And our own Travers Thurman here led a workshop for the kids in levitation where he was teaching juggling of all types. We had stuff being thrown all over the sanctuary yesterday, and it was a lot of fun. So just thank y'all for that. And today, our words of wisdom is one of Aesop's fables, The Lion and the Mouse, and you probably know it well. And it just reminds us of many things, one of them being we all need to be set free from something. No matter how insignificant the world treats somebody, we are all important. Well, one day the lion lay asleep in the forest, his great head resting on his paw, and he was napping away there when a little mouse came scurrying along, looking for a bite to eat, and actually ran up onto the lion. Scared out of its wits, the mouse looked around where to go and ran hastily right across the lion's nose, trying to get away. The lion was roused from his slumber, and with a mighty roar, he caught the mouse under his paw. And he said, "I'm going to smash you and eat you for waking me up." "Please spare me," the little mouse said. "I wouldn't make much of a meal for somebody as big as you. Plus, I promise one day I'll find a way that maybe I can help you. I can repay you if you spare me." Well, this great big lion, he was really kind of tickled by this, how such a poor little creature would help him because he was the mighty king of the jungle. But he finally said, "Okay, I'm going to let you go. Don't bother me again." And little mouse gladly went running off. Well, a little while later, as the big lion was stalking his prey in the jungle, he was caught up by a great net set by a hunter, and he could not get free, and he started roaring pathetically. He was so angry and so mad, but also scared because he could not do anything to help himself. The mouse heard those roars and knew who it was and went to find him. When the mouse came and found the great lion caught up in the net, he started doing the little bit of work that he could, was nibbling on the net over here, nibbling on the ropes over there, and finally he helped the lion to get free. And the lion said, "Thank you so much. I will never underestimate the little ones around me because you helped me and I didn't think it was possible." And the mouse said, "You laughed when I said I could repay you. Now you see, even a mouse can help a lion." All of us are important together here, even when we feel that maybe we don't have much of a voice or one person can do much, but we all can do something. Yesterday, almost 900 of us, maybe 1,000 of us in our little town of Brevard made our voice heard, and I heard that echoed across the nation with so many others making their voice heard. So let's all work together and know we are all important. Thank you.
I'm sometimes not quite sure what it is that makes this congregation so generous. My barbershop buddies saying, wow, you respond with your hearts to our singing. The people in our community who write us thank you notes for the plate collections that we have given. Or those who reach out and say, hey, I know you helped out with Habitat for Humanity. Thank you for that. Just your generosity is known. I'd like to think that me standing up here every week saying, be generous, now we're going to take your money, is enough to have, kept you in that generous spirit. But I know that there's so much more than that. Somewhere along the lines, you learned that every little bit you can give makes a difference in somebody else's life. And you do it. And when there's a need, you respond. I appreciate that. We're still going to pass the baskets again right now. And within it, you have the Augustine Literacy Project envelope to give to that charity of the month. Thank you. Thank you for being so generous. Thank you for week after week, day after day, living that out of your hearts. What's given with love, we receive with great joy. Thank you. Our prayer this morning is not only the pastoral prayer of the candles that are here, but also some words from the Reverend Ade Ama Kreba, and so I will include those words in here. She's a Unitarian Universalist minister who began her ministerial career with a call to settle as senior minister of the First Universalist Church of Southold, Long Island, in New York. And this established her as the first minister of color to be settled at that church in its 150-year history. And during her ministry there, she was named one of the Suffolk Times News Review's People of the Year for her work on the committee that raised over $10,000 for a local resident in medical crisis. She's served as co-convener of the Unitarian Universalist Women and Religion group and also in the planning committees of both the First and Third International Unitarian Universalist Women's Convocations. Reverend Ade began serving the Unitarian Universalists of New Braunfels, Texas as a minister in 2017, called to settle in 2023. Spirit of love and life, we are gathered here this morning. Come with our hearts of joy, our hearts of sorrow, our hearts of hope, our hearts for yearning. We come to this moment together knowing that we are held with our values, with all that is holy, to be part of a community that rises from its past mistakes and horrors, a community which addresses current issues in ways that affect real people, perhaps those marginalized at the corners of our society. Spirit of love and life, we come this morning with remembrances of those who have passed before us, those parents we have lost on the ways, with fond remembrance in particular of Pamela Zapata on her birthday, with remembrances whether tainted with mixed feelings or with joy and grief of our fathers, those who raised us. We lift up candles of hope and healing for those who have been facing surgeries, who are ill, who are still in the hospital or recovering. In particular this morning for Jubal Tyner's finally home from Mission Hospital, for Tara McDonald, in the hopes that her illness does not cause permanent damage. We recognize as well that our society, our humanity is always fragile in the face of violence, the political violence that is here, and that we must stand up to say, no, no, that we want all to have the sense of freedom and rights in this country. And our hearts go out to the families of those elected officials in a far-off state who were killed or nearly killed in the shootings yesterday. We also recognize that we are not alone in wanting peace in our country and our world. Spirit of love and life, we are grateful for those who could spend time to show up and to show their alignment with values in the ways in which the visibility that our community is not locked behind doors but comes out to the sidewalks, to be here with each other. These prayers we hold today, and we also lift up the words which fit this time in Juneteenth and in all the justice work. Creator of all as believers in justice woven into a single garment of life, making us one with the human family, let us rejoice for those who safely pass through the shades of night towards the daylight of freedom. Spirit of all possibilities, may we be blessed with true freedom, free of all oppressions. Spirit of hope, with grateful hearts, we lift our voices in shared solidarity, holding each other safe in the fire of justice and the light of love. In the names of all those known and unknown, remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind, amen. Blessed be. Many thanks to Janice Cannon, Carlene Reagan, and Elaine Shaver for their artistry in bringing that music video to us. The reading this morning is from the Reverend Gretchen Haley. It's called Liberation Just Below the Surface. Someone has to be the one to go first when the seas are stubborn and the ground and the sky are giving us only gray and gloom. Someone has to see the spring that's just below the surface, the crocus about to launch, the green in the brown grass, the path that's about to be made clear, the freedom that's calling. After the leap, the leaving behind, the letting go of everything you ever knew and anything it meant to live, it takes a reckless sort of dreaming, a courage you'd usually shrug off like it belonged to old tales of escape from Egypt or emperors, like it belonged to someone more powerful, more official, someone less filled up with grocery lists and bills to pay. Marriages to manage, and all those justice reports to read. We come to link arms and to claim a call that is collective, believing we can go together and hold each other into the deep in this journey for justice and liberation, trusting we can sing not just at the end, but the whole way there, feeling in our bodies this promise of something more beautiful being born. We come to remind each other, as we were always this brave, that we've had all we need to walk this way the whole time, that we are the ones we've been waiting for, to say to each other, let's begin now. My sermon this morning is taken from the title of one of the exercises in the Soul Matters packet for freedom this month. June's the last month of the church year, and we take a break in July and August not having packets. The freedom one, I find very interesting this month that it has some questions that are about freedom that span a large, chasm between the individual and the collective. And the sermon this morning is based on the one that called Help Them Escape. It was something in which in the exercises, it was something that was very much recognizing that there are folks all around us who are bound up in their individual pain. They're stuck. There's something holding them back. And maybe we could make a difference in one person's life. I believe that. I believe we do that in this congregation. I've watched it happen. I've watched it happen as people have provided rides or gone and helped someone who has chores around the house they can no longer complete, or at least temporarily on the disabled list to not be able to do it. I've seen folks who are deep in depression and have somebody from this congregation go and visit and talk, even when they don't want it. So in that way, the exercise in the packet was something very small but important, large in importance, small in its effect in the global way. But then I think of the fact that we have this week Juneteenth, which wasn't a major celebration recognized in this country until sometime in my lifetime, that there are folks all over who forget major events about freedom, helping people escape. And in that situation, officially, by law, by declaration, by military folks declaring it, saying, yeah, we got all the way to the 19th of June, but we're finally here to tell you we're supposed to know you are free. We declared it a long time ago, but you are now showing up. We're showing up to say you are free. It's a big deal to remember the times in our history in which a transition has occurred that has made real the ideals that had been put on paper. I mean, what good is an Emancipation Proclamation if you can't get the word out? I remember an old Doonesbury cartoon in which there was singular master and slave farming, and somebody said to the slave, well, don't you know that the slaves were freed? And they said, yeah, in the South, but not here in Massachusetts. And yeah, you laugh at it because Doonesbury knew how to put that into a humorous situation, that somebody had decided not to tell the person they'd worked alongside one-on-one on that rocky Massachusetts farm, that actually in Massachusetts that person would have been free for quite some time. There's a certain amount of selfishness about not wanting people to escape. The reference in the reading to, escape refers to ancient times and something to do with Moses. Moses saying, let my people go. And Pharaoh says, yeah, okay, you can go. No, I changed my mind, you can't go. And plagues and locusts and frogs and all sorts of things. Okay, you can go. No, you can't go. Okay, go. And then chasing them all the way to the Red Sea. There's a sense in which when faced with a big major change, we who have some power may say, well, yeah, it would be really great for freedom to come, but maybe I'm a little afraid of it. Maybe I'm afraid of it for myself. Maybe I'm afraid to give it to others. Albert Camus said, the only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion. Have you ever known a free spirit outside of, say, 1960s Woodstock? Have you ever known a free spirit who was so absolutely free it was challenging to the very structures of society? And what about that mouse and lion story? Aesop's fables, and it's thought that that goes back to the Greeks and way back before it was written into our texts and our languages, and shows up in other cultures and languages. Some small act by one seemingly powerless creature in the world saying, I can provide you liberation. Just let me go. We all need each other. Our freedom is bound up in being able to help one another in that freedom. The Dalai Lama had said it this way: if you think you're too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito. And I would like you to think about how small can make a big difference. How would you help someone escape? I read something of Kindertransport, 10,000 children transported out of threatened areas in the early era of the Nazis. 10,000 children sent away by their parents who they themselves could not escape, promising their children, we'll catch up with you. And in at least half the numbers didn't. Somebody got together to make a committee, to make it propose, to make it happen, to have those 10,000 children escape the beginnings of the Nazi era. before World War II was officially begun. In this country, do you know the German-American Bund? Do you know the history of that group? The German-American Bund in the 1930s, after the election of Hitler in Germany, started buying up or having somebody buy up for them camps in different states all across the United States. North Carolina isn't listed as having one of them. The German-American Bund made camps, and they wanted to open one in Connecticut, across the river from the town I lived in. And I didn't know this history from when I was a kid, but in 1937, they'd had somebody buy up 178 acres in Southbury, Connecticut. And nobody knew what was happening until a clearing was made and some things looked like they were moving ahead. And this town of 1,300 people, mostly farming community, 1,300 people in rural New England, Connecticut, said, "What is this?" And they said, "We're building a camp for German American youth that they may be proud of their heritage." And these camps were where the children would dress in actual Hitler Youth uniforms, go through military exercises, and hear all sorts of things about the Aryan master race. And this was happening, as I said, across the United States in various states. And the people of Southbury, Connecticut had a couple of ministers, one, the Reverend Mark Edgar Newson Lindsay, who had been born in the late 1890s in the South, in south of the Mason-Dixon line, and educated in Virginia, but had gone up north for his ministry degree and ended up preaching for a bit in that Southbury area. He and another minister in town said, "We're going to have a Sunday in which we preach to our population for this town to hear this is wrong. And the way the Nazis are treating Jews is an evidence that this is evil, and we will not tolerate such a camp." And it's believed that in 1937, Southbury, Connecticut is the only place in all of America that decided these youth camps were wrong, and they refused to allow it. They made zoning rules in which they said no military exercises or camps may be done within our town limits unless directed by or approved by the United States government. Now, the United States government did not outlaw the German-American Bund and its camps until it entered World War II. But Southbury, Connecticut, and that was in 1941, Southbury, Connecticut said, "No, we want to stand up for this. We believe it's right to repel this hate." New York Times editorial in December of 1937 disagreed. Said, "Let the Bund champions of civilization from Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, Yorkville come to their Connecticut camp. Let them parade and salute and hail and have a good Aryan time. And let the Southbury people go on being themselves, as they are pretty sure to do. Just ignore them, Southbury," said the New York Times editorial. "Let the Aryans have their way." There are pieces of our history we have forgotten, in which little tiny evidences were put forward of mouses saying, "Listen to me, I'm of value, freedom is important." Little tiny communities that said, "Not in our backyard," but in a way that was really interesting. Southbury, Connecticut had no problem with an institution being built on their lands almost exactly the same era to help those with disabilities, to house those with disabilities. They had no problem with that. They had the problem with the American Nazis. And they were the only community in America that stood up that way and were forgotten for decades that they had done so. How do you help someone escape tyranny? In some ways, it takes some speaking up. Took a couple of ministers in cooperation with an overflowing town meeting to say, nope, we're going to make it so it can't happen here. Apparently the sheriff even saw the Nazis trying to build their camp and said, this is a Sunday in Connecticut. It's illegal for you to work on Sunday. We're going to cite you. It's like, what? But yeah. Can't do it. We have a law that says you can't do it. Found ways legally to challenge, to say, no, not here. We're not going to let it happen. I believe that when we individually and then together say out loud, not here, let's help someone. Let's help someone here and say to those who would be bullies and tyrants and disrespectful of the worth and dignity of others, I believe that we can make a difference. And we're not doing it to be famous. We may be just as forgotten along the way. But we will know that we declared some space free of that oppression. That we declared some moment, even however fleeting, that this isn't a place for that. That we said to someone who is marginalized, we recognize your worth and dignity, and we will not enable others who are trying to take that from you. How have you helped someone escape? Escape a moment of depression and grief, escape a financial bind, escape being stuck in a rut, escape from a bad job, a bad marriage. How have you helped someone? May someday what you do and what we do together be worthy of a New York Times editorial saying, oh, you shouldn't rock the boat that way. May we be worthy of criticisms that we didn't just go on and live our lives the way we always would have. May we be those who keep saying, not on my watch. Thank you. Thank you to all of you in each of the ways you have helped someone for even a moment. We have a closing hymn called Hush. I don't know if we're that familiar with this one. Both the opening hymn and this one are more along the lines of June 19th and African American spirituals. I will be singing it into my microphone, so we'll have the sound booth keep this on so that I can help you with it. And it's in the Teal hymn book. If you'd rather have one, raise your hand right now and an usher could get you one. It's number 1040. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Soon one morning, death come creeping in my room. Soon one morning, death come creeping in my room. Soon one morning, death come creeping in my room. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? I'm so glad trouble don't always. I'm so glad trouble don't last always. I'm so glad trouble don't last always. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Our benediction includes the words of Maya Angelou, and though I extinguish this chalice, let's carry that light out as we go. Let us live so that we do not regret years of inertia and ignorance, so that when we die, we can say all of our energy was dedicated to the noble liberation of the human mind and spirit, beginning each with our own. Blessed be all of you.